Middle-earth, a land of great beauty and greater conflict. From small folk to ancient kingdoms, Middle-earth is the breeding ground for fantastical adventures and larger-than-life characters. This is the story of Middle-earth. By the Third Age, Eastern Eriador consisted of a few widely separated settlements that only dimly remembered their history. But the ruins that dot the expansive landscape were once part of the great kingdom of Arnor, and their mark on Middle-earth's history cannot be wholly erased. One of the most strategic sites, standing at the heart of the kingdom, was the Watchtower on the hill called Amon Sûl, better known in the late Third Age as Weathertop. The only route for any traveler or army wishing to pass with speed through central Arnor was the Great East Road. Hilly, sparsely vegetated regions lie on both sides, making off-road travel tiring and slow. The rulers of Arnor realized that, especially in times of war, controlling the road would be critical, and they took action to secure it. They decided to build a tower to watch over the road and chose Amon Sûl, a conical hill with a level top at the south end of the Weather Hills, as the location. At Amon Sûl's summit, a watcher would have a view of the road and surrounding countryside in all directions. Due to its location in the center of the kingdom, the watchtower was the site of one of the Palantiri, the seeing stones that enabled rulers and peacekeepers of Arnor and Gondor to communicate with one another over vast distances. In fact, the Amon Sûl stone was the most powerful of the Palantiri of the North Kingdom. This increased the tower's importance and provided a considerable boon to its defenses. If one part of Arnor or Gondor was under attack or in great distress, the news could spread quickly to all corners of the kingdom. Its location and strategic importance made Amon Sûl and its watchtower a site of great value to the rulers of Arnor. When the kingdom was split into 3 new kingdoms, after the death of Eärendil, the new rulers, all sons of the dead king, fought to control Amon Sûl, each claiming that it lay within the boundary of his realm. Amlaeth, the eldest, won Weathertop for Arthedain, and in time it became the easternmost fortification of the border with Rhudaur. This border became contentious when the Witch King appeared in Angmar and established his throne at Carn Dûm. He was able to turn the men of Rhudaur against their distant kin, and Rhudaur became an unwavering ally of the Iron Crown. As a result, their borders with the other 2 kingdoms became sites of battle. Arthedain and Cardolan joined forces to beat back the threat. They fortified the Tower of Weathertop to secure it from attack, and for a time kept the Palantir there to maintain communication with other locations. They were able to withstand assault for many decades, but a time came when they could no longer hold evil at bay. The Palantir was secretly taken from the tower to the fortress at Fornost before the worst of the battle befell them, preventing its fall into the enemy's grasp. The Witch King's army finally destroyed the stronghold that had stood for so many centuries, and their leader controlled the region that would allow him to destroy the remaining kingdoms of the north. After the Witch King was expelled from the north, Weathertop stood silent and alone for many centuries, crowned by the ruins of its once great tower. In the fall of a year near the end of the Third Age, Weathertop played a fateful role in Middle-earth history. Echoing men of centuries long past, Gandalf came to Weathertop to view the road and lands in search of Frodo the Ringbearer and his companions, who were en route to Rivendell. He was assailed by 5 of the Nazgûl, who were also attempting to use Weathertop to seek Frodo. A great battle between the forces of light and dark took place, visible for miles by anyone who looked in the direction of the Weather Hills. Gandalf fled toward Rivendell, but the wraiths did not pursue for long, instead returning to their search for the ring and its bearer. 3 days later, Frodo and his companions, led by the ranger Strider, came to Weathertop to shelter for the night. They were unaware, at least at first, of the presence of the Nazgûl, but when night fell, Weathertop was again the site of battle. The ringwraiths attempted to capture both Frodo and the ring, and Frodo was injured by the Witch King, the being who had conquered Weathertop long ago. He was saved by Strider and eventually arrived in Rivendell, in spite of the ever-expanding darkness brought on by the wound received from the Witch King's blade at Weathertop. The stronghold of Weathertop is forever tied to the legacy of the Men of the West, but it is only one site of significance in the history of Arnor. Next we visit Fornost, an ancient fortress with a long and sometimes dark history.